Sorry, there's information here, you guys. All right, I didn't mean to do that when I was jumping on a live. Hello, hello, welcome to my live chat. I had several choices about what I was going to do this morning, and I decided to get on with you guys because it has been a hot minute, and there was something that I was thinking about, and while I was driving, I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna pull over and get into a nice shady spot and talk to you all because it has been a minute. But this is also a really, really important topic. And I will also say that I don't have my microphone. That thing is at home, so hopefully my sound is pretty good here for y'all. Don't plan on being on very long because I do have a lot of things that I need to accomplish today. But today I want to talk to you guys about stop thinking and start feeling. And what I mean by that is so many times we want to think our way through life. And what serves us better is when we start to feel our way through life, when we get out of the thinker and we get into the feels of our body, because our body tells us everything we need to know. We have these feelings inside of us. Now, when I say feelings, I'm not referring to emotions, although that's part of it too. But our body actually is an energetic vessel, and it will pick up on feelings. It's going to pick up on energy frequencies, frequencies that are serving frequencies, certain frequencies that are not serving frequencies. And our body can be able to tell the difference, and the more calm we get, the more sensitive we get, the easier it is going to be for us to really make choices that are right and serving to ourselves. So recently I had something come across my awareness, and I'm like, I don't know about this thing. I'm not really sure how I feel about this thing. So what I'm doing is, rather than thinking my way through it, I'm really getting quiet and I'm allowing myself to feel my way through it. Now, when we feel our way through something, that doesn't necessarily mean that we don't have any thoughts around it, because that's impossible. The brain is thinking all the time. So it's impossible to just never have any thoughts about it. It's about gathering information so that you can weigh it out in your heart, in your spirit, in your mind, in your body. So recently, my son was going through a situation, nothing bad, nothing too tragic, and he was going through a situation, and I said to him, he asked me some questions. And so as we were going through the Q&A, and we're talking, and he was coming to a conclusion, like I could feel he completely changed. And I said, how are you feeling right now? I said, your entire energy just shifted. He goes, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good. He said, I'm feeling relief. And I said, then that's your body telling you, son, that you made a really good, solid decision for yourself, that you're moving in the right area. And he goes, yeah. He goes, I can tell this is a really good decision for me. So many times we get so caught up in facts and data and what people say and what the world is doing and all of this other extraneous stuff. By the way, there's a whole bunch of beliefs mixed in with that, beliefs and facts type situation, sort of like something that recently happened here in 2020, which had a lot of stuff mixed together, facts and fear and beliefs and all kinds of things mixed together, which made it very difficult for people. But being someone who feels my way through situations rather than thinks my way through situations, I came up to certain conclusions that were right and true and serving for me. And, I basically skated through that whole thing very, very peaceful, because I've learned how to tap into my feelers rather than my thinker. Because my thinker, our thoughts basically are the same set of thoughts generated over and over and over again every single day. They're just on repeat over and over and over again. So to think that we can think our way through something is basically untrue, because our thoughts are on repeat. So 90% of our thoughts are on repeat every single day. All right, so there's only this 10% that are new thoughts, and this is per the data of Dr. Joe Dispenza. He talks about this at length, where that 10% of new thoughts are things like, what do I want to wear today? Which way do I want to drive to work? What do I want to have for lunch? Those type of things. So in order to make new decisions, two things are important. One is learning. One is gathering data and getting more information. But then the second thing that is most important to me, which is feeling our way through a situation. If you guys have not yet, I just made a video I posted that on Sunday. Today's Monday. That video was about, what is the title of it? Hold on. I'm terrible about these type of things. The most optimal way to connect with divine guidance. That's what it is called. And then in that video, I talk about that. I say, a lot of times people say, show me a blue butterfly or show me a red Volkswagen in order to get a certain sign. You know, let me give you that sign if I'm supposed to do X, Y, Z. When really the reticular activating system can kick in, and then we'll start to see that thing, because now we have brought that thing to our awareness. So the RAS kicks in, which is a part of our brain. I explain it in the video. And that thing is going to kick in, and then it's going to start scanning our environment for that thing. So it's really can give us a false positive or a false negative about whatever it is that that is in the, you know, that whatever it is, the question that we are asking, because the brain is just on alert to this thing. So that's not going to work for us. So it's about feeling our way through life more than trying to think our way through life. Now, this doesn't mean in any way, shape, or form that I am saying that we don't need to think and we don't need to gather information, because I am a huge researcher. I will research stuff and I will get the appropriate information, even something like going on a road trip. I'm like, is there restaurants along the way? Is there restrooms along the way? You know, what's the biggest stretch before there's a fuel station? You know, things like that. So I'm an information gatherer person, but I equally process things through my feeler, because it is through my feeler that tells me when something's okay and something's not okay. It's going to tell me when I'm on the right path or when I'm not on the right path. It's going to alert me to things that are going on. So this is why I said to stop thinking and start feeling. Now, don't literally mean that you need to stop thinking, because we can't. The brain is going all the time. The brain is even going when we're sleeping. So the brain is even in meditation, you guys might notice. And yes, Eckhart Tolle says he can clear his brain to have absolutely zero thoughts. I think he said for about 4.5 minutes or something like that, which is pretty bitchin'. But that's not for the average person out there, that we can just clear our brain and have no thoughts for 4 minutes straight, right? The brain is, and that's something that he's focusing on, by the way, as well. So he's really focused on not thinking, because the brain is constantly thinking. So that's why I wanted to jump on today, because in making, you know, going through life and thinking about things and making decisions and, you know, gathering data, gathering information, but at the end of the day, I really truly don't care what people will tell me, because people will come at me with their skewed version of what they think is right and true for me. And just like nobody can know what is right and true for me, nobody can know what is right and true for you. And this is why when I was raising my kids, you know, they said, what should I do, Mom? And I would say, what are you feeling? These are my kids, right? Like, I could be the boss of them if I wanted to be, and I'm not. Because I wanted them to get so adept at going within and really getting in touch with what their feelers are telling them. Because we, each of us, every single person here on this earth, every single person here that was before us and who is going to come after us, all have unique journeys. Now, I want to say that again, unique journeys, specified journeys that are so unique to and individualized to exactly like our DNA is. We are so incredibly unique. Like, there is no overlap at all. Okay? And everybody not only has their own set of DNA, they have their own set of experiences, they have their own set of backstories, programming, levels of intelligence, intuitive, in touch with their intuitive guidance. Like, there's this huge sky's the limit about how individualized that we actually are. So for anybody to think that they can tell us, like many times parents are telling their kids they have to go to college or play this thing or do that sport or, you know, whatever it might be, and the kid's kind of fighting the parent because they really don't want to do it that way. They have a feel or to want to do something else. That's really based on the parent's belief system or the thoughts about what it is that that child needs to do. Okay? And a parent might say, well, no, that's what they need to do. There is facts. And I'm going to challenge that. Really, is there? Because didn't Elon Musk drop out of high school or something like that? I mean, here's what I'm saying, you guys. And someone might say, well, that's not the majority of things. Well, it is. It can be the majority of people when they follow their instinct, their intuition, their guidance, their feelers, your feelers through life. There is really no decision that I make in my life whatsoever that I don't put my feelers behind. This car I'm driving right now, I just recently bought a new bike because my bike was having issues, and I won't get into all those details because they're irrelevant. But I will make very fast decisions, and my husband's like, how do you make such fast decisions? And I say, because I trust my feels. And the reason why is because I have been doing this for a very long time. I have trusted my feelers throughout my entire life. And I know what things feel like to me, and when it is a heck yes and when it is a hell no. So even when it comes to like, the bike I just chose, the bike I just bought, I had been paying attention to bikes out into the environment. That's my gathering data. Okay, I've been paying attention to that. Like we ride our bikes a lot. So, oh, I like that one. I like that one. I was kind of paying attention to names that were, written on the bikes and things like that. Then one day we went to the bike store after a ride, and I said, let's see if there's a bike store near here. I went to a bike store, walked in, I saw the bike, sat down. I felt it. I measured the way my back fit, because I like my back to sit a certain way. If I lean forward too much, I get a backache because I leaned forward too much during hair shampooing at the shampoo bowl. And I said, this is the bike. And the decision was made like that. I said, I do need a new seat, and I have to be sure that I can adjust my handlebars. And the decision was made so quickly because I'm really used to feeling my way through life. Now, a lot of times people are really wrapped up in their left brain, their logic brain, and they need to have all these facts that they have to compare. And, that sometimes people will take a really, really long time to make decisions. And because they are thinking their way through it, and they have to be like 1000% convinced in the factual, physical form world before they will make a decision, instead of going through their feelers and trusting infinite intelligence and universal guidance. Here's the deal. It's a bit of a travesty or a tragedy that so many of us, every single person on this planet, has this connection to source. We all have this, okay? And so many people are not utilizing it. And many people are not utilizing it because they're trying to control their life. And this is not a diss on anybody, because this is what we do as human beings. We try to control, because we get activated in fear some way. Because remember, we got this ego, this fear brain that is screaming at us all the time. Don't do that, do this. All this fear coming at us all the time. And it's loud. The ego is loud, and it's incessant. It keeps going and going and going. And it's relentless. It's going to come at us and keep trying to feed us with fear. So because the squeaky wheel gets the grease, the loud voice of the ego is going to be screaming at us all the time. Oftentimes, that's where we put our attention, okay? But we forgot about this whole other aspect of ourself, which people call our higher selves, but it's really who we are. In fact, I was on a live call with Dr. Joe Dispenza recently, and I asked him a question, and he basically said something to the effect of, we think it's our higher self, but really it's who we are. So that was food for thought for me. I was like, okay, which is true. I understand that completely. However, it's important that we know that there is two aspects of the psyche. There is the ego aspect of the psyche, and then there is the let's call it the higher self aspect of the psyche. And both of these are very serving, or else they wouldn't be in our brain. They are actually part of our survival. If we didn't have the ego hyperactive warning us about potential danger in things, then we would be walking around willy-nilly and doing whatever and just getting annihilated with life. That's exactly what happened. And if we also didn't have this higher self over here that was willing to guide us and to show us, and it is the connection to ultimate truth, and believe it or not, you guys, reality. Wait till I tell you that in a second. All right, that is what we have. We have these both sides of the psyches that we get to choose from at any given moment. When I learned that, my life changed right there in that moment, because it is facts like these that have changed my life in the grandest way. And the reason why they were able to do this is because I had an open heart and an open mind. It's because I didn't think I knew it all. In fact, I know I didn't know it all, and I'm still sitting here right now today, know that I don't know it all. In fact, I don't know anything compared to what we can know in the quantum field. Like, we have such a minuscule amount. That's why when people think that they know it all and they're trying to control your life, or they know exactly what you were thinking. You know, people like to try to tell us these things all the time, and it's just not true. We can't know it all. And knowing that there's the ego, and then there's this higher self, lower self, higher self aspect to our psyche, changed my life. Because then I knew that I, at one point or the other, was either connecting with this or I'm connecting with this. Now, by the way, there's no in between. We're either in fear or we're in love. That's it, period, end of story. So I went through a large majority of my life. I'm sorry, there's an older guy over here. He's bending over, rubbing his legs. So, you know, nurturing mommy Kristen is concerned. He keeps getting out of his car and walking around, he's rubbing his knees. Okay, I think he's okay. So once I learned that there was these two aspects of the psyche, that was thrilling to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm either in fear or I'm in love. So I'm either pushing away divine guidance or I'm actually connected to divine guidance. That made me stop and think every single time I was about to make a decision, or I was about to speak, or I'm like, what am I in fear or am I in love? What aspect of my psyche am I in at any given moment? And I started to get really conscious about the times that I was coming from my ego or my fear, lower self. And when that happens, I stopped making decisions or doing anything from that space. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm in ego right now. And by the way, you guys, when I talk about this being an inside job, when I talk about our journey being so individualistic, no one knew I was doing this. No one knew that I was going inside going, is that my ego talking? You know, I wasn't running around talking about this to the world because people, they didn't know what I was going through. They didn't know the aspects of my life that I was healing. They just knew I was like on a healing journey, and like my mom knew that I meditated and I walked a lot. That's kind of like the gist of it. But it's those type of things when we can calm down that thinker that thinks it knows everything, when by the way, it does not. Sorry, guys, that's a harsh reality for some people's egos aren't going to like that I said that at all. They're going to be like, who do you think you are, Kristen? And I'm willing to receive that. I get a lot of backlash in my life because I share information like this to people and they don't like it. The ego doesn't like it and they fight me until, guess what? Until they don't. Because initially it's the fight is on, don't tell me that. You know, people don't want to hear it. And then over some time, they're like, you know, after they hear it maybe a couple times, or either from me or from other people, from whoever, you know, I'm not saying I'm anybody's guru by any means. They hear it some out in the world, what have you. Eventually, you know, you get the kind of like, yeah, okay, yeah, I guess kind of wrong about that. You know, that type of thing. And I don't care. I don't care. All I know is that I'm in charge of my peace, and I'm in charge of the way I think and the way I feel at any given moment, and the stimulus that I'm allowing to come to me. And if it doesn't feel good, if it's not good energy, if it's not good vibe, then I put up the stop sign, because I have been through far too much in my life to have that type of thing coming at me. Now, I digress a little bit. I just want to make sure what I'm talking about. So this is super interesting because I'm right now listening to, I think it's called Infinite Possibilities by Mike Dooley. Great book. Love Mike Dooley. He's one of my faves. Down to earth bro, you know, he's Andy Dooley too, his brother. Both of these guys are law of attraction, conscious creator type teachers in the world. And I've been meaning to get his book. I finally got it on Audible. I typically read books because I learn better when I read books, and I love freaking highlight. Excuse me. So I was recently listening to that, and he said, I only heard this once, and it was on my drive here. So I'm going to try to reword this. This was amazing, though. And I was like, oh, I've done that. I've done that. And I'm wondering if you've done that. And if you've done this, please post in comments below. In fact, I see y'all in my room and nobody's commenting. So if you guys wouldn't mind jumping down. Oh, by the way, y'all, if you're enjoying this, I have now the ability to have super chat and super stickers. Do you guys know what that is? It means you can give me thanks by clicking on the button and doing a super chat or a super sticker. And I think you like donate a couple bucks or something. And the super chat comes up on the screen and it's highlighted and yay. And the super sticker I think comes up and it's like a really big sticker that does something. I don't know. I'm new to all this monetization stuff here. Completely transparent. Sis does not know what she's doing. But I would love to see how this works if anybody wants to do that. And it's a way for you guys to say thanks and to pay back to channels for the creators that, you know, by the way, we spent a lot of time creating things. And that would be great. So there's that. Otherwise, I would love to know who's in here anyway, because you are not obligated to do anything. And you can just let me know in the chat and just say, hey KB, give me one of those hand wavy signs that, you know, goes, I love those things. All right, so back to what Mike Dooley was saying in Infinite Possibilities. He said something to the effect that, let me get quiet here for a minute. When we get quiet and we ask questions, he said, I think he said we have spontaneous, it was something I word. It wasn't inspiration. It wasn't information. It wasn't injections, but we get spontaneous somethings, whatever he was saying. I was going to replay it and to try to listen to what he called it. But what that means is that we can get these downloads, right? We get these downloads from the quantum field about information. And I'm like, holy crap, this is what I've done my whole life. I never had a name to it. And by the way, I thought everybody did it all the time. So I get a lot of information by just asking, you know, being super curious about a topic and asking information, kind of just driving in the world. Like, I wonder why somebody would do, like, would cheat, or why somebody would do something dastardly to a loved one, or why, you know, all my stuff typically is wrapped up around human nature, because I've been a researcher and studier and apparently a downloader of information from human nature my entire life. It is, I don't know why, it's the way I'm designed, but I was always watching people and wondering and why did they do that? And remember, I've told you guys this before, whether you remember or not, or have seen that on the live stream or video. After my Tsunami ex left, I was addicted to those news magazines like Dateline, and I forgot the other ones. I was addicted to those things. I was glued to them. But I'm telling you, the energy space that I was in while I was watching those, it was more of, the only way I can explain it is kind of this zone out space where I'm watching it, but I'm actually downloading information. It was really weird. I was feeling information and gathering information during that time. And I believe what the reason was for that is that I was so mind blown that a person could do what my Tsunami ex did, not only to me, but to his own child, where he abandoned her for 7 years, 0 contact. And, you know, she was like this cutest little 3.5-year-old, almost 4-year-old at that time. Like, it just blew my mind. And I wanted to know why. I wanted to understand what this was all about. So for some reason, you know, Dateline would come on or something like that. By the way, I'm not affiliated with them. And when I get my brand deals, you guys are going to know. But I would be watching it, and I could just feel like the truth. The only way I can explain it is the capital T truth, like the motive behind someone doing the dastardly things that they would do. And I was like, okay. And I could wrap my brain around this more. And some might say, why did you need to do that, Kristen? Number one, for my own healing. Okay, because anybody hurts my kid, okay, Mama Brown doesn't do well with that, number one. That was my own thing. Number two, releasing and moving on and understanding. And the other one was to help to guide my child, to be honest with you. So if or when he came back into her life, that I knew how to guide her in a way that, you know, I'm listening to myself say this right now, you guys. This is going to sound really weird and egoic, but it's not. I'm really fucking proud of myself. Oh my God, I feel like crying right now. The work I've done to get to where I'm at and how deeply I love my babies and wanted them to have a good experience. It's like, I'm like literally just coming to this feeling, this realization right now, and I'm letting it in. Like it's kind of like, oh my God, because I really don't know a lot of parents that sit down and try to study the behaviors of their narcissistic, abusive, cheating ex in order to be able to deliver information to their child in a way that would be not harmful to the child. Oh, Lindsay. Thanks, girl. Yeah. So, excuse me, a little congested today. So, you know, he did end up coming back. He messaged, and I'm going a little bit off, but I'm just going to finish the story for you guys who are curious. He did end up coming back and freaked my shit. I'm just going to be honest with you. I was like, because he was my abuser. He was my attacker. He was the bad person in my life. So when he came back in, you know, immediately my instincts and my, you know, I got crazy because I'm like, he wants to see her. Like, what is this going to mean for her? And there's other things like substance abuse issues and things like that that I was worried about her being around him long term. But however, I had gone to court and I had organized visitation in a way that was very protective to her. I had done it after his year 2 of being, you know, MIA. I went back to court and I readjusted everything because I'm like, I can't have the same custody thing and then him come back in. And oh my God, like I have no rules and guidelines. So there, I had some really cool things in place, and it was 30 days advance notice. It was non-overnight supervised visitation. So I had to be there, you know, whatever. And homie came in, wanted to come back in and see her, which is fine. But I was able to talk to her from a level because I had so much more information rather than your dad's just an asshole. Or, you know, whatever, like people want to talk about their exes. I had more information about why wounded people do things and how this wasn't about her. And as much as people, you know, think it's about them. Hey, I couldn't see your flag because it's this big. Would you mind telling me where you are hailing from, where you are tuning in from? I saw your special hand. I love that. And your flag is even with my glasses, I couldn't see it. But I wanted to have information so that I could really talk to her in a way that was not, I don't even know the word I'm looking for, ignorant? Would that be the right word? Not just ignorant or emotional? Because this was her heart. This was her wounds. This was my baby. This was like, okay, I got to give this the best shot I can possibly give this if or when he comes back into her life. So like all of that was wrapped up together in my understanding. But I will tell you, in Dateline, they're just telling you a story. That's all they're telling you. They're laying out the story to you. But my brain, my download from spirit was getting me into the feels of what was happening. Like I saw it in a truthful type of way, which doesn't mean there's a judgment involved in it. It's just sort of a facts type of way. And I began to really understand the workings of narcissistic, abusive type people. I really began to get this. So when sometimes our mentors in life have certain connections and information where other people might just relaying it from a book, I personally go to mentors who have walked before me and prevailed. That is the exact words that I say. I go to somebody who has walked before me and prevailed, because that means they know shit that I don't know. So I find somebody, if somebody is speaking some stuff, my heart is open, I feel it, it's resonating, I'm like, that person. I'm going to study this person more. recently I had a massive awakening. I say massive, they're all massive to me, you guys. Any awareness to me is amazing. So recently I was feeling some kind of way, like last week. Okay. Yes. Yes. From Lindsay Hoyland. I was feeling some type of way actually for the last couple of weeks, and I felt very irritable, and being someone who knows that our emotions are guideposts pointing us in a direction. Our emotions literally alert us to, gonna turn my air up a little bit here in 185 degree Arizona. Our emotions literally alert us to what is going good in our life and what is not going so good. It's where our thinking is on track and where our thinking is not on track. Okay, so our emotions are alerts to what is going on in our inner world. So my emotion was irritability and just, just kind of just general kind of cranky thing. I don't know, things weren't feeling good to me. And so I went within and I was like, what is going on here? What is going on here? Again, this is the feels. I'm feeling into what I'm feeling, and I'm like, I'm feeling cranky. I'm feeling, let me read this. The good old emotional guidance system. That's right, Lindsay. Lindsay has read my book. She knows. By the way, I am going to jump because I'm on my phone, so when the messages pop up, I'm going to stop and read them because they go up and they go right back down again. It's not like when I'm on my computer and they stay on the side. They go doop, doop. Okay. So this is a live stream, y'all. So there's live streamy stuff going on here. So anyway, I was feeling some kind of a way, and I was like, all right, I know enough to know, ooh, I don't like this. What the heck is this? Don't like this feeling I got going on. So I asked myself, I'm like, what are you feeling? And I went into how I was feeling, and I sat with it. And I'm like, yeah, no, this isn't good. So what does this mean? What is creating this? And I started to ask myself a whole bunch of questions. I'm like, where is this coming from? Why am I feeling this way? And what I discovered was, so I'm like, I was so fractured out with my energy, so busy helping so many people and clients or personal, I don't mean clients, that's my work, okay? But in my personal life, all the people that call me and needed to talk and all these things, and I was constantly saying yes, and I remember one day, 4 friends called in one day, and they're like, do you got time to talk today? And time to talk today is not 15 minutes. It's like an hour and a half, right? Because we hashed through some stuff. And I was like, wow. And I said no to all of them because this was a week ago or so, and I couldn't do it at that particular day. But my point is that I don't typically do that. I will find a way. I will find a space, and then I am fractured out because my desire to help people, nurture people, and love on people is massive. And this is going to bring me back to what Ed Milet was saying. So I had this feeling, I was like, wow, this is me. I did this. It is no one's fault for asking me to talk, reach out, none of those things. That's no one's anything. Okay, that's me. This is me being a poor manager of my time. This is me leaving my phone notifications on while I'm working and, constantly doing this, okay? So I realized that I have not been a good steward of my time. I have not been a good with my personal boundaries regarding me. And once again, this is not anybody's fault, okay? I love my people. I got a crew of, amazing, beautiful humans in my life right now that I want to be there for. So this is not anything to do with anything. It just means that a lot of people reach out to me, and a lot of people, want to talk to me about things. And not only that, it's just group chats I'm in. I'm in like several, I'm sorry, like 5 group chats, and you guys get it. Just the overwhelm. And I was not being a good steward of my time. And so I came to the awareness. I'm like, this is me. I'm fracturing out too much. I'm really saying yes to too many things. And by the way, which is really interesting, I had the same conclusion July, August of last year. I'm just having that realization right now. This is 2023. 2022, I just finished my book in July. And not only was I writing a book, by the way, you guys, I was doing all this too. And I remember I got extremely burned out. And burnout to me means that I am saying yes to too many things. So with that being said, I realized I'm like, wow, I'm too fractured out. I'm spending, I'm saying yes to a lot of things and this type of things, and really just need to be a better steward of my time, or maybe not get on the phone for an hour and a half, but say, hey, I got 15 minutes. Whatever. You guys get what I'm saying. There's a point coming up here because this is important. So in the process of me figuring this out and working through it, and first my thinker came involved. It's like, what's going on here? And I'm like, okay, I'm feeling some kind of way. What am I feeling? Okay, I'm feeling this type of thing. All right, what's contributing to this thing? This is how we self-coach, by the way. This is self-coaching in action that you guys are witnessing. This is me coaching myself. I'm like, what's happening? What do I need? I'm going through all this. Then I flipped on, I love Ed Milet, and I flipped on, which, by the way, I've just recently heard of this guy. I guess he's been around for decades, but it's been like in the past 3 months. Same thing with Mel Robbins, okay? I just recently discovered her in the past 6 months or something too. Anyway, so I put on an Ed Milet episode, and Ed Milet, I don't remember the episode, but he was saying something like that he can really commit to too much in his life, and he can over commit. And then he said this, he goes, because I love helping people. I love to help people. And I was like, that's me. The other day, someone reached out to me and they're like, hey, can you talk? Or can you talk later today or sometime today? And I said, I'm not sure, ... And the reason was because I was waiting to see if my daughter came home from school and planning some stuff. And then the guy says, if you can't talk, you can say no. And I said, that's the point. I want to. I want to. It's not that I can't or I don't want to. It's like, let me see what I can do. Okay. That's how it works. And because I want to, because I love, since I was a little girl who found a little almost dead kitten in the trees, in the bushes in our front yard with caked blood or something on its mouth, and I took it in the backyard and kitten was like this big, I forced water through it and scraped off the things. Long story short, the cat lived. I'm a nurturer down to the bone. And when we are, oh, by the way, I don't do labels. You guys know that I don't really like to attach to labels, but there is something to them in some capacities, but it doesn't mean that we have to stay that way. But I'm an Enneagram 2, which, by the way, I don't study the Enneagram. I just took it once, and that's like helper or giver. Shocking. I think it's the helper. So when I say, this is me. This is what I love to do. This is why I get on YouTube for free, right? Because I love to help people like that. You guys can hear it in my voice. And you always say that to me. Everybody's on here's like, no, we can feel your legit. You can feel my legitimacy because fucking hey, I just like to help people. Like, it's the truth. And I can do it at the expense of my own well-being. I can do it at the expense of my own rest, of my own boundaries. So this is what I discovered again. And I love to talk about this stuff with you guys because, a lot of times when we start the healing journey, people think that they are flawed. Because, damn it, I did it again. I said I wasn't going to sleep with Bob, and then I did. Or I said I wasn't going to have, 3 drinks, and, I was only going to have 1 and I had 3. Dang it. Or, I took it personally again. Or whatever it is. This is the healing journey, you guys. This is why you will hear me say probably in almost every single video, stop shaming yourself. Stop shaming yourself. It does you no good. You're already feeling ashamed. That's why you're doing these coping mechanisms and, this unconscious stuff that you're doing. So if you add shame to it, that's going to perpetuate your pattern. When you make a mistake, when you do a fallback, when you need to course correct, just go, oh, I did that again. I did that thing again that I didn't want to do. Okay. Note taken. Bring it to the consciousness. I want to choose different next time. That's what I say to God. Help me choose differently next time. Okay? The work I'm talking to you guys about, this is actually in my first book that I wrote in, I think it was published in 2014. I don't remember. But I talk about this because this was a huge part of my healing journey and is still part of my journey to this day, is that when I make a decision or a choice or something that I didn't, wasn't my shiniest moment, I don't beat the crap out of myself. I just go, okay. I love chocolate on the couch at night. I'm just going to tell on myself. All right. There's been times where my husband, he's a sugar fiend, more so than I am. But, I got one of those big bags of M&Ms, and I go get, I have these little tiny cups, and I go get a little scoop of the M&Ms, and I go back and I would eat them. And then I would go get another scoop of the M&Ms, and I'd go back. And then, 4 scoops of M&Ms later, I'm on a caffeine overload, because I don't even really drink caffeine hardly ever. And I'm on a caffeine overload at 10 o'clock at night. And I'm like, what the heck kind of unconscious baloney was that? Right? But instead of just going, oh God, you suck, you ate, you ate 4 pounds of M&Ms last night, oh my God. I just go, wow, that was really unconscious, Kristen. What were you feeling, Kristen? Were you feeling unsafe? Were you feeling sad? Were you feeling antsy? Like you just needed something to do because you had more energy to spend? Like, what were you feeling? So I don't beat the crap out of myself. That's energy wasted. I go within and I ask myself, what was I feeling? There's my answer. Here's why. Because when I go, oh, I'm antsy, I'm just making this up, or I am feeling scared today, or insecure, or angry, or whatever the emotion was that promoted it, okay? Oh, I'm feeling that today. I better be on the lookout because I might want to, binge OD on some M&Ms. Hold on. Or I'm thinking of something in particular, someone in particular I know. This person recently became single. They require a lot of attention. That's made a lot of decisions in their life based on the need to desire to have a lot of attention. Like they constantly need attention coming at them. And this person's been doing a little, bed hopping lately. They haven't asked my advice, so I won't talk to them. I won't, I'm just not going to give unsolicited advice, right? I like people ask, they ask. Otherwise, they're just going to fight you because they're in their ego and blah, blah, blah. And they're unconscious. But if that person asks, I would say, ask yourself, what are you feeling right before you make that decision? Right before you go out? Right before you say, hey, it's a good idea to put another notch on my bedpost. And I'm not judging this person, you guys, because we do this type of shit all the time. I just did it with M&Ms, that was last year. It just came to the forefront because my husband now has another bag of M&Ms. So now I'm like, okay, is this going to happen again? But my point is, before I go unconscious, before I make that choice again that I regret later, let me slow down and ask myself, why am I going to do this? Or how am I feeling right now? Okay? So knowing that if you're feeling insecure or you're feeling lonely or lacking love or whatever it might be, that that's the time that you are susceptible to downing an entire bag of barbecue chips, a bottle of wine, or calling an ex for a random sleepover that you're going to regret. Because if that's your bag and you want a random sleepover, I could care less. You do you, boo. There's no judgment here, all right? We're all so different. But if it's anything that you're going to regret later, by slowing down the process of that decision, you are higher than likely to change the decision and do something different. How cool is that? All we have to do is bring things to the forefront. Whoop, right here. We just got to bring it to the forefront. Okay. I would love to see who's in our room. I've got so many people that have passed through this room. I didn't think this title would do this today, but I'm really glad because this is a really important title. Because what I talk about is stop thinking and start feeling. What I'm saying is that to really become your own authority. And now when I say you, I don't mean just you, little brain you, okay, little DNA you. I'm talking about you, your oneness and connection with infinite intelligence. You have everything that you need to know. So do I. We are connected. The truth is there. The capital T truth, not the lower T truth, which means our opinion or something that, like that it's my truth that I felt offended, or it's my truth that, I don't like going to that type of restaurant, whatever. Those are our lower T truths. Our capital T truths are truths of the most universal, highest wisdom ever, infinite intelligence. It is unchangeable over time and space. It'll never change. It is unchanging and true at all times. So when we are connected to this all the time. This is 24/7, 365. And the thing with that is that when we utilize this connection and we stop thinking and we start feeling, we are going to feel our way through situations easier. Okay? We're going to make better decisions for ourselves because it's going to be coming from the quantum field's infinite intelligence. Does that make sense to you guys? If it does, give me a little clappy clap. Sometimes there's a delay here, but I would love for you to give me the clappies. All right? So the more that I live and the more that I understand that I have connection, well, let me back up a little bit. When I was a child, I felt the connection, but there was no words around it. I didn't know about quantum field. I knew God. God was a word that was okay with me. I knew that there was this energy, this superpower. Yes, thank you, Lindsay. I knew that type of thing was out there in the world, and that was cool. What was I going to say? But I didn't know it to the extent that I know it now. Now I know it from, thanks, Daryl. Now I know it from the level of not only experientiality, if that's even a word, but not only from experience, but I also know it from what I've learned now and what is really coming into factual flow based on the work of people like Dr. Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton. Oh God, what's the guy with the gray hair? You guys know who I'm talking about. He's always kind of tan and he's got a lot of silver hair. It's slipping my mind, but no disrespect to him because he's an amazing, amazing guy. I love him. Just slipping my mind. That guy too. But per the work and the research of these people that are really, a lot of times now having scientific proof and fact to back up this quantum field, that type of thing, how can we not? We are squandering one of our most precious resources by not tapping into this universal intelligence that is there, that is in and through us. It's actually us, okay? It is what is inside this little form, okay? It's what's inside this body. And by the way, the brain, the thinking part of us, is part of this form body. But the brain does have something inside of it. It's called the pineal gland or the pineal gland, whichever you prefer. And that is where we will receive the information from the quantum field. So we're designed to have this little antenna inside of us, right? We come here, it's like, okay, we're going to put the spirit in here that's already equipped with the antenna, the pineal gland, to receive this information from the quantum world, okay? From all that is, which, by the way, this will blow your mind. Dr. Joe Dispenza said that the real world, reality, the 99.9999, I believe, percent of reality, we can't see. We can't see. This Outback Steakhouse, Trevor's Restaurant, that red car, this gorgeous tree, this is 0.0001% of reality. Right? There's this whole other portion of reality that that many of us don't utilize. We don't utilize it. Hold on. And this is where I'm inviting you to to stop thinking and to start feeling. Okay? Now, when I'm saying feeling, let me make it really blatantly clear here that emotions are one thing. Okay, yes, mind-blowing, Lindsay. Isn't it, girlfriend? I know. That emotions are emotions. Sadness, anger, frustration, all those things. That's emotions. When I'm talking about feelings, I'm talking about the physical sensations that we feel. I actually have gotten very good at knowing what intuition feels like in my body. It comes in a certain way, and when it comes, no one's going to talk me out of it. And it's so subtle. And this is the challenge, because the ego is loud and screaming and relentless and doing this, and the intuition is really subtle. It's quiet. It comes in like a whisper. Fear is a shout, intuition is a whisper. Okay? So it's going to come in, but if we are so used to listening to this, we're going to miss this. And it's there, because you're not exempt. I'm not. No one's exempt. No one, even the bad, horrible people of this world, no one is exempt. At the end of the day, we're all children of God. Okay? But if we're not listening to, if we're not getting ourselves quiet enough, that we're not attaching to this guidance that's going to lead us to exactly it's like boop, 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 the yellow brick road. That's what it's doing. It's just going to lead us down the yellow brick road. So the whole purpose of this is because many times when I make decisions, Dr. Joe said this too one time on a talk. He said 1 foot in the quantum world and 1 foot in the real world. Now, we just know that reality is the 99.9999999% of the unknown. But in this case, he's talking about the physical form world. So let's just say 1 foot in the quantum world, 1 foot in the physical form world. Let's say that, okay? What that means is that this is what co-creating with spirit is, that we hear all the time, or co-creating with the universe. There are things that we need to do in the physical world, okay? This is, we have to move forward somehow. We have to put action into place at the same time as feeling our way, okay? So, for example, my second book, The Recovering People Pleaser, I knew there was a book swirling. There had been a book swirling. My first book was published in 2014. This wasn't published to 2022. Do the math. 6, 7, 8 years maybe? Okay, so 8 years. 6, am I right? I don't do math well. Let's see. 14, 6, yeah, 8 years. Okay, so my husband kept saying things to me like, when are you going to write another book? And I said, I don't know. I don't know. I woke up in January of 2022 and I said, I'm ready to write my book. And he was like, okay. I already had the title. I knew everything. I sat down and made an outline and I wrote that book in 6 months. Okay? Because it was divinely inspired. It was time. It was time for that book to come through me. And this is what I mean by we can force our way through life by thinking that we know how things need to go. I have to do this, or I have to do that, or I have to do this, right? We think we need to know how things are. And that's only part of it, okay? By utilizing the divine, by utilizing your connection to spirit, that's when we co-create. Because a lot of our next best steps are going to come through inspiration. They're going to come through like you're going to recognize that it's a new thought. It's not one of the 90,000 thoughts that were on repeat that you have been thinking from the day before and the day before and the day before. It's also sometimes a thought that is unconventional, which means I can't even think of something. I'm never good to think of things straight off my head like that, because I don't plan these talks. I talk from my heart. So I sometimes I write down a note or two so I don't forget, and then I don't look at it. But anyway, it's going to be something that's new. I remember when I was having a physical ailment, and I won't go into that about Western medicine and things like that, but I was having a physical ailment. And I was like, I got really quiet and I said, God, what is this? What's causing this? And I realized that the culprit was fake sugar, artificial sugar. I removed that artificial sugar and that ailment was gone and has not come back. I did not research that. I did not go to a doctor. In fact, the doctor probably would have given me surgery for the ailment that I had. They would have said, yeah, well, this is what we're going to have to do. Because I even talked to a doctor post me healing this in myself. And that doctor was like, oh yeah, typically we do an XYZ. And I was like, exactly. When all I had to do was remove artificial sugar. It has not come back. Okay? How did that come into my brain? It came in one day. And I was like, okay. And I sat around and I thought about it and I moved around with it. And that's what I ended up doing, was removing that, and then everything changed. So my point is to you guys is that I want you to be back in the power seat of your own life by putting you back in the power seat of your connection with spirit. It's like standing there with $1 million bill in your hand and not knowing it. You got everything you need. It's right here. Or the biggest gold nugget. It's right here. It's right here. And it's sitting there, and you're walking around through life and you're not utilizing it. And you're like, oh, woe is me, I have all these things, and you got this gold nugget. You are a child of God. You are a divine spark. We all are. We're this crazy, connection to a field of energy. Infinite. Just the word infinite blows my mind. Infinite. Not finite, not kind of, not a whole shit ton. Infinite possibilities. You have access to infinite possibilities. We all do. But we just have to get quiet and allow ourselves to move with it. Does this feel good? When I chose my publisher for my recent book, The Recovering People Pleaser, I ran across this woman and I heard her speaking and I was like, I really like her. I just really like her. And I reached out to her and she did collaborative books. And I said, do you do solo authors? And she said, yeah. I was like, all right, like, we get on a call? She's like, sure. And we got on a call, and just the way she spoke and how she spoke and what she talked about, and we were so much in alignment. I was like, this is her. I said, okay, thanks, I'm gonna think about it. But then I didn't think about it. Think about it is what we always say, right? I felt about it. I'm like, does this feel right? And I'll tell you something. If I don't get a yes or a no right away, I don't make a decision. I gather information, right? Because 1 foot in the physical form world, 1 foot in the quantum world. I gather information. Sorry, something went down the wrong tube earlier. Now I've gotten that residual, you know how we get that. I gather information and then I feel my way through it. Okay? That's how I do. Does this feel right? Does it not feel right? Do I go left? Do I go right? What do I do here? That's how we make the best decisions in life. And this is what I want you all to understand, is that you got everything you need. You are connected to the quantum field just as I am. You know, we're actually connected to each other, which is really pretty bitchin'. You know, we're all the same energy, right? And this is why, oh, this is so cool. This is why any healing that we give to self, we are actually giving to other people. Isn't that fun? But also, any help or healing that we extend to other people, we are actually giving to ourselves. Because we are contributing to the collective from a healed level. Now, not only is it in a collective type of form, there's the ripple effect as well. Okay, so any healing that we do within, our energy is going to branch out to the circles around us. And there will be people that will be healed right along with us because they are in our energetic proximity. Does that make sense? If they should so choose, because a lot of times people just get repelled by that energy. They want to stay in the dark and then they go off and do whatever they're going to do, right? They just leave our lives and that's fine. You know, that's the other thing, was getting You know, if we really feel through, like, people might initially think, oh my God, somebody left my life. This is so sad. This is so terrible. You know, woe is me. Have you ever just sat down and really thought about it and felt on it and say, you know, they left my life, but I'm kind of okay with it? It's because you knew that there was an energetic disconnection. I'm thinking of a friend of mine in particular. I won't say her name. She's not in my life anymore. But I had a lot of fun with this gal. But there was I could feel the energetic disconnect. It was a little bit of a disconnect between the two of us. She was cool. I love her, and I still love her. And, you know, that disconnect happened, and we parted ways. And I remember I wasn't that sad. We had a lot of fun together. We were people that laughed a lot together. We had the same sense of humor, you know, but afterwards I was like, it's okay. Because I could feel that disconnect, and at some level it didn't feel good to us. It doesn't, like, we can tell it doesn't feel good. And many times we're putting ourselves in proximity to situations, people, and things that really aren't feeling good to us, but we're so disconnected from ourselves that we don't even fucking notice. Come on. We don't notice because we're not paying attention. The healing journey is all about returning to you. It is returning to you. It is becoming your own best friend, your own advocate, your best parent, your ultimate cheerleader, and your ideal lover. And I'm not talking physical, I'm just saying your ideal lover. You take that how you want, okay? When we become all of those things for ourselves, we position ourselves to thrive in life because we trust ourselves first and foremost above all else. We trust ourselves because we know we have our back. And I know I have my back. And I don't allow crappy things anymore to me. I just don't allow it. And if it continues on in a particular arena with some person or thing, then I dip eventually. I'm like, okay, no. You know, I'll give some opportunities for these things to straighten up, but over time, if that's the energy that I'm going to have to deal with, that's, you know, coming at me all the time, it's our job to maintain our own energy, just so you guys know that. People want to say, oh, energy vampire, and they just come in and suck off of you, and I'm, you know, again, another narrative that I challenge in the world. No, people don't come suck off of you. You willingly lower your vibration to match theirs. That's why you feel drained, because you're used to being up here, but you have to go down here to match theirs. What if you decide you're not going to match? Right? What if you just say, I'm not going to match? I'm going to be love. I'm going to be me. Because, you know, Joe Blow over here might get mad at me because I'm not, you know, doing all the things that I used to do with them. Who cares? People are so afraid of being lonely. I cannot believe how afraid people are of being lonely. Now, I'm not dissing that. I'm just saying when people say I'm lonely to me, might sound cold, but I don't feel bad for them. Because all I know that's happening with loneliness is your disconnection from you. You just think it's from other people. It's your disconnect from you. There's recently someone in my life who said, I'm just so lonely. And I said, yeah, you know what? You are so distracted. You're so fractured. You're fractured out in so many different ways. You're constantly trying to fill the void with something out there. And when that void there's nothing out there to fill the void, then you feel lonely. And then this person makes bad decisions when they feel lonely. Okay? Loneliness is recreation time. Aloneness is recreation time. I talk about this at length in my first book as well, From Doormat to Sweet Empowerment. I'll say it again in case you guys are interested in that one. From Doormat to Sweet Empowerment. And I talk about this aloneness being recreation time because I found myself alone again in the world. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do things differently instead of filling that void, instead of, you know, wanting love, or, you know, it's amazing what people will say. Yeah, I'm just thinking of some stories now that some people have told me, like, when they, you know, do certain things, and I'm just like, yeah, no, that's not what it is at all. It's them distracting. It is them doing things to fill that void within rather than going within and filling the void themselves. And here's what's ironic as heck. I almost tried 3 cuss words there and I ended up on heck. So if it sounded weird, I almost said F, I almost said hell, and then I said it. So it was like, okay? So what's ironic as heck is that the void that we need to fill is so fillable by us that it can happen fast. That's the irony. That's the mind-blowing irony here, is that because people have felt so empty for so long, and they have gone out into the world to fill this emptiness, then it's still empty. They think it's unfillable. So they're like, oh, you're telling me that I need to fill it? Pfft, no, this thing is hard to fill. It's hard to fill because you're trying to put, well, let's think of a good analogy here. I'm bad at these. Someone put an analogy. You're trying to okay, square peg in a round hole is the best thing I got for you. But really it is, you're trying to fill a worthiness cup with a substance that does not stick. You're trying to fill your worthiness cup with, let's say, oil instead of marshmallows. Does that sound good? I think that's kind of good. I just made that up. Okay. So the oil goes right in the top and right out the bottom. Right in the top, right out the bottom. Just slides out, slides out, slides out. And because the cup remains forever empty, you're just going to look in the outside world for more and more and more and more and more. And it becomes literally an insatiable beast, our worthiness cup. We're going from one hit to the next. Oh, this person approved of me today. Okay, I feel pretty good for now. But then this person didn't approve of me. So I need to go out into the world and I need to find approval and I need to find love and I need to find attention. And if someone would just, and a lot of times people think it's sex. Oh God, I could go off on the whole sex thing. I'll write that down. Maybe I'll remember to go off on that. But here's the deal, you guys. This void inside of you feels insatiable because you're trying to fill it with the wrong substance. It's never, ever, ever going to work when you're trying to fill your worthiness cup with something that is not what fills it. I cannot stress this enough, and I will stand on the mountaintop, the rooftop, to the day I die, telling you guys, stop looking in the outside world to fill your void. I am the most non-needy mofo, the most non-codependent mofo, the most interdependent person. Because remember when I was telling you about loving and nurturing people? Oh, I need my people. Oh, and I cuddle, and oh my God, physical touch is my thing, and I smell my cat, and oh my God. My daughter, my 17-year-old daughter, 17 and a half, I reached over and I held her hand driving in the car yesterday. I am physical. I am a lover, okay? But I am interdependent. I am not codependent. I am not needy. Because my worthiness cup is full by me. And organically, you show up as a healthier version of yourself. You can't not. Because when your inner world changes, you are organically going to display yourself in the outer world differently. Dr. Joe calls this breaking the habit of being yourself, which I think is brilliant. And I have not read that book because a lot of his books are super scientific and I don't want to read it. So I listen to him rather than read his stuff. But I will also tell you this, that Dr. Joe and his work did not come into my awareness until after I started doing this work. So really what his work did was substantiate what I was already doing on my own based on guidance from God. When people say, how did you start your healing work? I say, I got quiet one day and I asked God, what do I do? That's the truth. I did not go to therapy. There was not someone that said, oh, stop attracting dysfunctional, relationships. There's no book. I didn't follow a website. I didn't even, YouTube, I was, God, never on YouTube. I didn't even know what really YouTube was 12 years ago. This is the truth, you all. I asked God, what do I need to do? And one by one, little messages came in and they were small. And one message said, what did all these guys do to you? And, oh, Daryl, you did a, is that a super chat or a super sticker? Thank you, Daryl. Oh, you guys, that's really cute. That's the first one I ever got. That's really cute. Okay. Thank you, Daryl, for that. Daryl Ledgerd. So what was I saying? I got off track. It's a sticker. Okay. Thank you, Daryl. So you guys, that's what a sticker looks like for all of you that were watching. Oh, and then look it up here at the top. It has a little like message box with a star in it and says $3. That's so yay. That's so yay. Thank you, Daryl. Okay. So then what was the next step? I'm totally lost track because I got a super sticker. I'll be better at this in the future. Oh, so then God said to me, how were you treated by all those people, those relationships? That was literally the question. Oh, I was dishonored. I was not rejected. I was used, abused. I was cheated on. I was dishonored. I was disrespected. I was lied to, all of those things. And then God said, are you ready? Drum roll. Now, how have you treated yourself that way? That's it. The start of my healing path. Sitting on the end of my bed in my mother's house after my tsunami, after losing everything, probably freaking 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Wednesday. And I sat down on the bed and I was like, I've done all those things. I've done all those things. I listed it off. And then I realized I'm the common denominator in all this. And I didn't judge myself. There was no part of me that said, you suck. How dare you? This is awful. I felt relief. I was like, oh my God, this has been here all along. I felt relief. And then it went further. It said, would you be your best friend? That's what the voice came in my head. Would you be your best friend? Yes, mirroring Lindsay. And I said, would you be your best friend? And I said, I remember this. I was like, hell yeah, I'd be my best friend. Like, that was my response. And the voice said, why? Like, why? And I said, because I'm kind, I'm loyal, I'm giving, I'm understanding, I don't cheat, I don't lie, I don't steal, I'm great with money, I'm sexual, I just went down the whole list. And I was like, and at that point I went, what the bleep? That's who I am? I had never stopped to take stock in who I am as a human being. Have I made mistakes? You bet your ass I have. Have I done things I wish I hadn't done? Sure. But I forgave myself. Okay? So this is not any means of being perfect, just so y'all know. No one's perfect. But I listed off these attributes, and then the voice said, then why aren't you treating yourself like that? Why aren't you treating yourself as that amazing person that you are? That's how my healing path started. 2000, was that my mom? Probably summer of 2010. That's how it started. Just like that. Okay, that was 13 years ago. And my life changed in ways that is so completely undescribable. I am a different person. I'm just as loving. I'm just as kind. I'm just as honest. I am just as fun. I'm just as all the things that I was, yet I no longer allow certain things in my energy field. I just don't. It's a hell no, it's a hell no. That's it. One and done. For the most part. I speak up. I'm not afraid of not being who I am. And what happens, y'all, is that we start to call people to us. Here's the thing. There's a lot of things that are being talked about in the world today. Authenticity is one of them. It just seems like this little word, authenticity. Oh, that's so nice. Oh, go be authentic. Oh, go be authentic. If you're authentic, this is going to happen. You guys, Authenticity, we might think we're being authentic until we really do the healing work and we really see what authenticity is. Because first of all, let me tell you this. I've been called real. That was the term they used in high school in the 80s. People would say, you're so real. You're so real. And people would like it. They said it as it was a good thing. You're so real. I didn't really know what real was because I'd never been not real. So I didn't know whatever. But as I went on through life, I realized, yeah, I'm pretty real, which means I'll say my opinions, I'll speak my truth and things like that. But there was this other side of me that wore masks that was unconscious. Okay? Accepting the unacceptable, just blending. You guys know, recovering people-pleasing bullshit. We're just blending, wearing the masks, trying to get the approval that we don't even know that we're seeking. It's all this unconscious game that we play, all right? So with that being said, I started to realize I was authentic, but there was this whole other level to authenticity that I didn't even know about. And that's a spectrum. People can be in various degrees on this in their path. Like they can be super hyper authentic and, they just need a little bit more, or, they start to be authentic and there's really have not revealed anything about themselves for a long time. And, fear is involved with authenticity, of course, because there's, protection's not the right word. I like to say guarded or armored mechanisms that people have put into place. Not purposely, for the most part. It just happened. It was the way the brain protected you. Now, the reason why I stopped myself when I said armor, I was about to say protection, I said armored or guarded, is because a level of protecting our heart is a good thing. Okay, and that's why I like the word protection for that, because it implies that we're protecting our cat, we're protecting our child, we're protecting our dog. We're not armoring our child. We're not guarding our child, okay? We're protecting. It just feels more passive and, not passive, more airy and energetic than, like an armor. I think of an armored heart. Do you guys remember? You probably don't. Depends on the age. But there was there's actually a remake of the movie Get Smart. But there was a TV show called Get Smart back in the day, and the two people would be they were like some sort of spies or something. In the opening scene is them walking down this big hallway, and then these gates would open, and this wall would go up, and this fire would clear. It was like as they're walking down the hallway, all these things became clear, and then when they left the building, all those things shut behind them. Okay, and Anne Hathaway was in a Get Smart movie recently. I forgot who she starred with. I never saw it because I didn't really like the TV show back in the day. I loved Get Smart. Mojo. And but anyway, yeah, it was funny. 99 was the girl's name. Anyway. And there's a Toto song with the girl's name that's 99. By the way, I love that song. Love that song. Anyway, so the point is that guarding our heart looks kind of like Get Smart. Where all these, we got all these walls and things and prickly stuff all around us. Where protecting our heart is truly about, being very, very mindful what we allow into our energetic field. It's being very, very mindful about what we allow into our mind, body, and spirit. It's treating ourselves the way we would a small child. And you know what's interesting? You know what I super love about this? Anytime I have ever talked about this to any person whatsoever, man, woman, child, teenager, any gender, anything, when I have said, you need to talk to yourself as if you're a small child and treat yourself like this. Do you know that not one person has balked that? Not one person, not even, what do you call it? Manly men. Not one person has balked that. You know why? Because there's a part of us inside that knows it's true. I mean, this is what I love about the healing world. This is what I love. And I get more excited as time goes on and the more I learn. And it's kind of interesting too, because sometimes I sit back and I go, this is freaking crazy. Like what we're doing here is crazy. What what this life is really about, what we're here to learn, it's crazy. Like everything we're seeing, for the most part, unless it's coming through our God self, is an illusion. So when people get mad at us, they get mad at us because of some story they told themselves. I can't tell you how many times I've been accused of something that wasn't true, where someone comes at me with some kind of something, and I'm like, come at me, bro. Like, where are you coming from? Like, what? And they're like, well, you did this or said this or thought this or da da da. And I'm like, okay, not even in my awareness. Someone did this to me recently. Again, it was like, I can't remember who or when, but it was like a couple of days ago. And I don't even remember the exchange, but something happened and someone said, well, you, and then assigned to me what I was doing. They assigned to me what I was thinking. They assigned to me they had this whole plan, like a narrative, like they handed me a packet about myself. And that's figuratively, they didn't really hand me a packet. And I sat there and I was like, okay, wait. So you're saying that I'm thinking and I'm doing and my choices are X, Y, Z. And they're like, yeah. And I just said, whoa, slow down. I didn't even think of that. That didn't even come into my head. I was thinking of blah, blah, blah. Whatever it was. I don't remember. And the person just kind of looked at me and I'm like, and this is conversation that is pretty prevalent in my day-to-day life now with a lot of people. So people can, it's not as if the first time I'd said that to somebody would like, they kind of thought about it and they were like, oh. I'm like, yeah, I don't know, your brain kind of made something up about me and you called that true. That's not true. That's not what's happening here. So this is what can happen, y'all, and this is why I love the healing path so much. And if you guys notice, this is true. This is like chronic me. When you start teaching in the world like this, people will be like, what's your niche? What do you call yourself? What's your elevator pitch? This is stuff that's been plaguing me for 13 years. Do you know that I still don't have an elevator pitch? That I change the subtitle under what I do all the time. Right now, my latest and greatest is spiritual empowerment coach. I don't know what to call myself to people. I'm a girl in the world that's learned some stuff that doesn't want to suffer and doesn't like other people suffering. I mean, is that a good elevator? What do you do for a living? I'm a girl in the world that doesn't like other people suffering, so I just share some information. I don't know what to call myself. Reclaim your personal power. Self-love mastery, relationship healing, I don't even know. Really, it's about reclaiming your personal power. If I could really just sum it up into one thing, it's all about reclaiming our personal power. I want to help you reclaim your personal power by returning to the only power that you have, which is you. I was going to give a talk this morning. In fact, I wrote it down and I didn't do it. Isn't this funny? Here it is right here. Self-love is not selfish. That was the talk I was going to give this morning, and look at what we're talking about. Because it just went that direction. And I thought, you know what? This is on my heart right now. That so many people are trying to think their way through life, and they're not feeling their way through life. Y'all, you got everything you need. And I'm going to ask you this. If I'm false in saying this, what is it serving me to give you your power? Am I getting anything from this? Am I lying to you to get something? What could I possibly get by saying trust yourself? Trust yourself. Coach yourself. Follow your guidance. Ask Spirit for help. Ask the universe, God, source, whatever you call it, for help. Stop looking for the blue butterfly or the red Volkswagen as a sign. Stop with the signs, y'all. Start becoming a co-creator with God, source, universe by saying, show me the way. Ask for help. Here's the thing. Too many people are repeating their thoughts and they're not asking enough questions. I'm a question asker up the yin. I'm a question asker so much that a lot of times people are assuming I'm asking a question because I don't agree with them. Okay, I don't know who fucked you up, but I just ask questions. Okay? I have a loved one that used to do this. I just ask a question, and that loved one, and I'm talking like my inner circle, that loved one would like start answering me in a way that was like defensive and weird, and I would go, I just asked the question. I think somewhere in that person's life, questions were asked of them and they had a motive. The person had a motive, like it was a way of kind of pushing the person. Instead of telling the person what to do, they'd ask them a question. So it would kind of push them in a certain direction. I don't play that way. I ask a question, and if I have my opinion, I'll share my opinion. That's the way it goes. Okay? But people don't know that because they're triggers of their past and things like that. So I ask a lot of questions, and I ask a lot of questions because, and here's why, with each answer that comes in, it is processing through my inner being. And I'm getting more information, not only from the answer, but from the field. Like, God, there was something recently, I can't remember what it was, and I kept asking a lot of questions, and the person kept like trying to cut to the chase with me, and I said, I ask a lot of questions because you know this answer. I don't know, it was something, I think it was my daughter, and I don't remember what it was, y'all. I'm sorry, that sucks that I on the fly like this, I don't remember things like that. And that's another thing, is that I flow through life because I'm not going to get all hung up on something and stay there, because that does not serve me. That does not serve me at all. But anyway, there was something, and they're like, well, just do this. And I said, but why? But I don't understand. Why? Tell me why. And that person was like, because this and that and the other, whatever the thing was. And I was like, okay, that makes sense to me. I get what you're saying. Okay. But I'm gathering information. So y'all, I invite you, ask questions, and ask a lot of them, and ask them of your people, and ask them of God. Ask questions. Why are you afraid? Don't tell me you're not. If you're not asking questions, there's fear involved. I don't care what you say. If you're not asking questions, there's a fear involved. This is where self-coaching comes in. Why am I afraid of asking a question? Ask yourself the question. Ask other people, ask yourself, and ask God. Continually ask questions. We are a teeny tiny human brain that has not, it's like we're a speck of dust in the field, the infinite field. And you're saying that little speck of dust brain has all the information that it needs. That's just ludicrous. We can't possibly have all the information that we need. This brain, it's not even a speck of dust. It's even, my body's a speck of dust, they say. So true. Afraid of the answers. Yeah. Love that, Lindsay. Great awareness right there, sister. And the thing is, too, let me just say this. Afraid of the answers. Many people are afraid of the answers. 100%. That is such an honest assessment that she just had. How about, people a lot of times are afraid of the answers, and I'm going to tell you why. Because they think they need to act right now on the answer. Okay? So they don't want to know the answer, because I don't want to know, because that means that I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to quit my job, leave the relationship, stop hanging out with that person, sell my car, sell my house, move to another state. People are afraid to ask the questions of themselves because it means something that they're not going to want to do, whether they're aware of it here or back here. Here's what I say to you. You're in charge of your own damn life. You are in charge. Ask yourself the question, and then give yourself permission to not do anything until you feel ready. Okay? Here's the other thing. You're assuming that the answer to this question is going to take you this direction that you don't want to go. Let me tell you what's happened with me. There's so many times in my life where I was like, I'm asking myself a question. I'm like, yeah, it looks like I'm headed that way. That's not really the way I want to go, but it's kind of headed that way. Then I get quiet and I go on through life because it hasn't yet become solid. And I go on through life, but then new information comes, new healing comes, and I start to shift in a way. My life starts to take on a different energy. And then, is it still true that I may have to move? That can change, or go that direction. That can change. I don't have to necessarily go that direction now, because I didn't want to act on it in that moment, and the non-acting on it in that moment was purposeful for this other stuff to reveal, to make that not the only choice. We fuck ourselves up. I'm just gonna say that. By thinking, our best thinking can get us in the biggest messes. Stop judging what you're thinking, first of all. Stop being afraid of asking questions. Okay? Just ask the question to yourself. It's looking like I might have to leave this relationship. I might have to quit my job. I might have to leave my wife, my husband. I might have to stop being friends with this person because whatever reason. It's kind of looking this way. Right? Scary. Oh God, I don't want to deal with that. What now? What's all involved with all that? Now people aren't going to like me, or I have to move, change states, or, I'm not going to have the money that I had, or I'm going to be afraid, or, all of these type of things. Hold on. Thank you, D. Grant Smith. D. Grant said, great message about thinking and asking questions. Thank you, brother. Okay, so, all this stuff that we think is wrapped up in the thing. Okay? So we think it's going to mean X, Y, Z, but is it really? Maybe you just need to have the awareness that I don't think I can stay in this very much longer, whatever it might be. And I'm just using this for an example. It could be something else for you. But I don't think I can stay in this very, very much longer. That's a sad reality, because this is really hard for me and this is bad, and I just don't think I can do this much longer. Just having that awareness right there is changing your trajectory, because shifts in perception create a change in direction. Shifts in perception create a change in direction. So that tiny little bit of shift, if I may not be able to stay here anymore, might open up or unlock something inside of you that starts looking for a different awareness, a different cure, a different perception that could actually change what's happening over here. Maybe you don't have to leave. But unless you look at how you're feeling or thinking about this situation, and both together, and asking yourselves questions and being honest with yourself, you can't have that shift in perception, which is going to change your direction. I'm a huge advocate for what I call balls ass open honesty. And that's what I call it. Hold on. A shift in perception created. Yeah. Things. Okay. Sorry, you guys. This, it went behind. A shift in perception creates a change in direction. Truth. Mary Ann, thanks for that reminder. I'm aware, but not sure of next move. Yeah. And that's okay, Mary Ann. Mary Ann, you're just aware. That is all you need to know. I am very aware. That makes me really happy that you're saying that. God, it makes me really, I love you. Mary Ann's cool. I love that you're saying that, because I know that feeling. I've been in that place as well, where I'm like, very aware of what's going on here. And not sure what my next move is. So I'm going to get quiet. I'm going to get with spirit. Maybe talk to some high vibe, wise people that might be able to deliver some perspective. Maybe research a little bit and then decide what I'm going to do. See if anything comes up for me. Okay, now what was I saying before that? I don't remember. Do you guys remember what point I was at before that? Going back to knowing that we don't know everything. There's a time in our life where we think we really know everything, right? It's kind of our teens and 20s. We're correcting everybody because we know everything. But as life goes on, what I have realized is the more that I know, the more I realize that I don't know. So instead of getting more like, I know all of this, I've realized it's become more humbling to me. I realize that I don't know much. Oh, balls ass honesty. That's what I was telling you guys before. I remember that. And I'm open. And that openness, number one, creates expansiveness inside of me where I feel expansive, number one. Number two, it creates peace because I don't feel constricted and stuck. Number three, it creates hope because I know there's potentials and possibilities that have not even come into my awareness yet. So this feeling of hopelessness is thinking that it has to be that way, right here. It's gonna be that way right there. And it doesn't look like that's happening, so I don't have hope. That's what hopelessness is, okay? Faith is going, holy mother of fast food. I don't know what to say there. There's infinite possibilities. Like somehow the universe can work this out for me. I just have to be open to this limitless possibilities. That's all I need to do. I just don't know yet. It has not come into my forefront, my awareness yet. Okay. So that's where the curiosity factor comes in. I don't remember who I saw recently, but somebody was asking, like, you know, with flipping through TikToks and stuff. I'm not on that stuff very often. And when I do, it's just, I'm on for 5 minutes at a time, maybe once a day. I don't remember if I was on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, but something came up or someone sent it to me. And I remember one of the best prayers that we can ever have is just asking a question or saying, show me the way. You know what I say to God all the time? What do you want me to know? What do you want me to know? What am I not seeing? And then it's about becoming the observer. So if I'm asking God, what do you want me to know? What am I not seeing? And then I'm running around my life like a chick with my head cut off, trying to be all things material, trying to control life, trying to do all these things. That's a good one, Joseph. Trying to do all these things, then I am not in that quiet space. So not only do I ask questions, but I let myself get quiet and I get out of control zone. Okay? I back up and I get out of control. Now, I'm going to make this sound to you like I'm 100% rock star all the time. That's not my intention. This is a conscious choice that I make. Okay? This is becoming very, very aware of when I am hustling through life, when I am rushing or thinking things need to be other than how they are. That's a good one. Yeah. Fighting reality. We lose. But only 100% of the time. That's a Byron Katie quote. When you fight reality, you lose. But only 100% of the time. This is the stuff I picked up on my path. And I was like, when we fight reality, we lose. That's true. I'm fighting reality. I'm fighting reality right now. Or what I'm perceiving as reality. Like, reality is like things that are concrete, like someone's losing a job or, something like that. When you fight reality, you lose 100% of the time. okay? Loving what is. So I get quiet, I ask my question, and then I get quiet. And I do the dishes or whatever it is I'm doing, whatever task I'm doing. I just go, okay, I have taken to be like one of the main talkers in a social setting to being more of an observer. I will sit and I will listen and absorb and observe. I still talk. That's not the thing. But I'm soaking in the dialogue, the information that is coming to me, rather than trying to muscle my way around it or be right or be whatever. Because here's another thing. I said this way in the beginning of this broadcast. We can't possibly know what's right for another person. We there's no way, because they're on a completely individual, unique curriculum and path here on planet Earth. That's what they're doing. Okay, they're doing something. So for us to come in and think that we know what is right for true to them, we don't. The best possible thing that we can do is to say, what are you feeling? What feels right for you? And a lot of times people are going to want to say what they're thinking. They're going to try to throw facts at you and data. Well, if I move to this place, you know, the gas prices are lower. Or no. That's data. What are you feeling? What is your guidance? What is your heart telling you? What is lighting your cells up? That's the stuff that we have to be asking ourselves. You know, growing up as a new mom, first baby at 26 years old, I felt all those things, like my child's need to play guitar and or piano, and I stopped myself. I said, if they show a proclivity towards music, then I'll do that. And my daughter wanted to go do piano, and so we started piano, and she didn't want to do it. That's not her gig. We didn't end up doing it. My eldest. My son has natural dance abilities. I was a dancer too, by the way, so I got some hella rhythm. I'm older now and body doesn't work the same way, but you know, back in the day for sure. And my son showed that. And I was like, he's a freaking dancer, this one. He's got mama rhythm right there. And he didn't want to dance. He said no. I wasn't going to force him. It's his path. Why? Because I think he needs to dance? No. That's his path. I would never have wanted someone to say, Kristen, you got such great rhythm. You have to go play a horned instrument. I tried the clarinet for 5 minutes, hated the thing. I hated that. I was like, what is this? I don't want to do this. I can imagine a parent saying, I have to go play that. It'd be cool on the back end of it that I had like a little talent or something, but guess what? As an adult, since it wasn't from my natural born desire, I wouldn't want to pick it back up again because it wasn't my natural born desire. Let me tell you something. I started showing up as a hairdresser in 6th grade. I organically started doing people's hair in 6th grade. My aptitude test going into high school, I tested into cosmetology and psychology. Shocker. I dropped out of college that my dad was paying for because that was one of his highest values, you know. Barely had any clothes. My mom had very little shopping money, but god dang it, he was going to pay for our college. So that, you know, anyway, but I called my dad one day. I said, yeah, Dad, full ride, full free apartment, free all this college, and I want to go to beauty school. The fraction of the price. He goes, okay, Chris, if that's what you want to do. I never worked a day in my life. I had a 30-year clientele or 30-year hairdressing career, and I loved every minute of it because I followed what I wanted to do. Okay? Now I'm coaching and teaching and writing books. This is not a shocker either because I've been helping people natural nurture, which I talked about in the beginning of this broadcast, natural nurture my whole entire life. Okay? This is not shocking to me that I'm doing this now. I'll probably do this for the whole remainder of my life. All right? But if people told me that I had to do something else, I would be living a fraction of who I am. Okay? I let my children choose, and I help them to unwrap the gift of life as it's coming to them. With partners that they choose, or boyfriends or girlfriends, or date or not date, or friendships or jobs or whatever, the conversation is not the facts. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it involves a little bit of facts. Okay? But it's a lot about what feels right. Because when we follow that inspiration, God shows up. Okay? That inspiration is God. In a million years, if you would have told me I would have been on YouTube giving a YouTube live 5 years ago, I would have laughed. I would have said, ha, no way. We don't know. We don't know, but sometimes we have certain things that we are good at, we're passionate about, and that drive us, they will lead us in a certain direction. Okay? Then we end up not having to work a day in our life. And we end up attracting amazing friendships, and we end up attracting amazing partners. And things work out for us. And here's what you need to also know, you guys. And you ready? Because I want you to know this before I click out of this broadcast. You can have it all. You can have it all. You can have the health, the wealth, the physical body. You can have the career of your dreams. You can have amazing relationships. You can have fun and abundance. You can have it all. This is not like, well, I had to settle over here in relationships, but I got a hella career. Or, well, I got a ton of money, but my relationships suck. If you align yourself in your self-healing path, you can have it all. I had a mentor once. I'm going to read y'all's notes here in a minute. I'll put my glasses back on. I had a mentor once, and she said without a freaking beat, she did not skip a beat. She said, I want it all. And she wasn't being, she's just being her. She's just like, I want a pair of jeans, or she goes, I want it all. I want a great relationship with my husband. I wanted this, and she listed it all. And she said it with such confidence and such surety. I was like, I want it all. I didn't know we could have it all. So just shifting that perception from, yeah, there's always some parts of our life that we're going to struggle in, to we can freaking have it all. Trajectory change. That fast. And I started setting course to have it all. And I cannot believe how many pieces of it have already lined up. It's amazing. I love my life. I love the people in my life. I love what I've created. But most of all, above everything, I love me. I'm going to tell you this, I'm probably going to cry, and then this will probably be my last story. I don't know where, again, I don't know which social media site it was on, but it was a little girl, and she looked like she was on a wakeboard, and she was standing up behind a boat. Little girl, skinny, knobby-kneed, little skinny girl, looked like I looked when I was a little girl. She's on a wakeboard, and she's holding on to the triangle thing, and she's wakeboarding behind the thing. She looked probably be in maybe 5th grade, 4th grade. And her parents are going, okay, let go of the rope, let go of the rope. And she's like thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. And she's on this wakeboard, and she's going, her little skinny legs, like I don't even know how she's standing up there. And they're like, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. And she freaking let go of the rope. I'm gonna cry. And this, I don't know why, but the way the boat was or something, she stayed on forward movement behind the boat without the thing. And she just sat there, and she freaking crushed it. And I was like, I was tearing up. This was just this morning. I sent it to my daughter and another one of my female friends. And I said, this is moving me to tears, and I don't know why. I said, I think it's twofold. One, it's her parents cheering her on. Because we all need our parents cheering us on, and many of us didn't have that. And it's sad. But we can do that for ourselves now. We can have friends and other people. But I think there was a part of me that was like, yeah, I wish I had parents that were doing that. Really like cheering me on and like really cheering me on. But number two, that little girl, that knobby-kneed, skinny little girl had so much courage. And she let go of the rope. And I was like, so proud of her. I was blown away. I was like, she freaking let go of the rope. And you could tell she was scared because you could hear the parents go, she's thinking about it, she's thinking about it, she's thinking about it. We don't have to anything, by the way. Wrong choice of words, but it's highly serving if we let go of the rope in our own life and stop trying to control fucking everything. Let go. Stop thinking your way through everything and start doing. I'm sorry, I was reading a note. And start thinking your way through everything and start feeling. Let go, let God. Ask tons of questions and wait for your answers. I'm going to read my notes. By the way, thank you again, Daryl, for my super sticker. That was so fun. I don't know, do you guys see that on your end still or no? Okay, thanks for that reminder. It was Mary Ann. There's a great Trevor Hall song with those lyrics. What I know is that I don't know, so I dance and sing and live full. Love that. This is a very timely message, Kristen. Thank you. You're welcome, D. Grant. One of my favorite prayers is help. I mean, we don't have to complicate things, guys. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Ask, seek, knock, not just once or only in an emergency continuously. Look at you now, KB. Yep, I know, weird, huh? What Joe said. Work doesn't have to be a bad thing. Try reframing it from I have to I get to. As you often say, KB, let go and let God. Yeah. Oops. Okay, so does anybody have any questions or anything you want to share here? I am curious though, because my friend Daryl bought me a super sticker, and do you guys still see that on your end? Like, is it posted somewhere on your screen? Because I don't see it anymore. So I'm not sure how that works. Maybe it just comes up for a little bit or something, but I would love to know how that looks on your all's end. But anyway, I spent 112 minutes and 30 seconds talking to you all this morning. It's almost 11 o'clock here. Wow. And it was a great conversation. Very heartfelt. It was very, what's the word I'm looking for? Heart-inspired. Oh, yes, we see it. Oh, you see it in Daryl's chat? Okay. Do you have to scroll through to see it? Or is it like on the screen somewhere? I think it's just in the chat. That's awesome, you guys. So, very heart-inspired message. Now with my newfound, I have been fracturing out my energy far too much. Oh, thank you, T. Grant. You're beautiful back. I am dedicating myself to picking a day to doing a YouTube live once a week. I'm not sure if it's going to be Monday or Wednesdays. People say it's really good to pick a particular date and time so that people know when to, like they know when to, you're going to, when to tune in. But yeah, I do things by inspiration sometimes, so maybe I'll commit. All right, I got a question. Sorry, you guys. There we go. How do you suggest feeling for answers? This takes practice, Dee. What I do with that, Dee, is if you are familiar with the way your intuition comes in, okay, because it's similar to intuition feeling. There's going to be an expansiveness to it. There's going to be it's just kind of an inner knowing, and it's going to come in a time when you're quiet, when you're not thinking about it likely, or you're thinking about it more in kind of watching the river go by type of thoughts, rather than actively thinking about planning it, okay? So it's oftentimes when you're driving that can happen, or doing the dishes, or taking a shower, like your mind is just focused enough on something else, and you're allowing yourself to think, all of a sudden you're going to go, that feels good. That feels true is usually what it's the translating of the feeling is going to be different to each individual. For me, it feels true, it feels good. But good sounds like, oh, that feels good. It's more like a good. Like, that feels... Is this making sense to you? I'm like in my heart space, like it feels good, like it feels solid, it feels whole, but it feels light. So that's what it is for me. So feeling for answers to me is always about getting quiet and saying, what do I feel like doing? Also, talking it out non-emotionally. Just kind of sometimes just rattling on about it and kind of just talking it out with someone. All of a sudden, you'll kind of get your answer and you're like, yeah. Does that make sense to you? Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's just like you'll kind of get your answer. The key, my beloveds, is sticking to it, is following it and trusting it. Because a lot of us go, yeah, that felt good, but here's the facts, right? We want to be over here in the factual stuff. What's interesting is a lot of this blows my mind, and this is with 100% certainty. I've watched so many people go through a lot of things, a lot of freaking things. I watched them so scared about what potentially could happen in whatever was happening in their life at that time. Do you know that with all the people and all the lives and all the things that I've gone through, no one had the worst case scenario never happened. It never happened. Somehow, some way, universe showed up for them. Whether they got a job in the 11th hour or someone came to help them out or whatever, it was in congruence with their story. That thing that they were fearing the most. Like, I can say this was 30. I'm really digging through the recesses of my memory. I'm like, has anything really, that one thing they were fearing the most? And I'm not talking about a diagnosis, okay, like with medical stuff. I'm talking about like relationships and jobs and money and those type of things. The one thing they feared the most never happened. Because when we get scared or we get at bottom, we crack open. Because we can't go any other where, and we start to be any other where, any other place, and we start to become really open and receptive to answers and to truth. And we're willing to try things that are different. I've never known someone who actually ended up with a shopping cart on the side of the road because they were in the money struggle. Something always happened. Okay. Yeah. It's true, Dee. That's what I've noticed anyway. Okay. Yes, thank you. I've done a lot of this today. Good. For me, feeling and knowing on an intuitive level are quite different. My feelings are rather fickle at times, but my knower has never been let me down. Okay. Oh, shoot. And I have to tap things. That's really good news. Okay, Mojo, let me address that. My feeling and knowing. Okay. So, if we're the feelings, Joseph, if you were on here earlier, I was talking about emotions. So if the feelings are fear-based, that's gonna create a feeling inside of your body that it's gonna feel like intuition, but it's not. Okay, go watch my video that says the three beliefs about intuition debunked. That's a really important video, if you haven't already. The feeling is going to feel a particular way when it's truth, as opposed to a particular way when it's not truth, when it's fear-based. Okay, so the key is to really get discerning about which one is what, slowing down and going, nope, that's fear. Like if I even notice a tiny trickle of fear or control, I discount the feeling completely. I don't care if it really sounded a certain way, but if I go within and I notice this tiny trickle of control or fear, then it wasn't what I thought it was. That's like putting a drop of gasoline in a pot of soup. Like, it's ruined, right? You can't have it anymore. So anytime I detect any fear, again, this is where it comes to the balls ass honesty. We got to be super honest with ourselves at all times. that's one of the challenges on this path, is people being honest with themselves. But when you are, you're going to be led so beautifully through life, because you're going to be dealing with what's real, right? What's truthful than what your brain is making up as a story. Does that make sense? All right, you guys, I gotta go home and do some work. So this was really, really great. And this is part of my work that I love. But I'm super glad that you guys all jumped in today. And thank you again, Daryl, for giving me a super sticker. That was my first super sticker. And if anybody else wants to support, you can send me a super sticker. You know, it's so funny because you get monetized and I don't know what I'm doing. And then recently there was this super thanks. I'm like, what's super thanks? And then I realized I hadn't turned that on. And that's something that after a video, people watch a video, they can click it and then donate some money to you for, you know, whatever cause that you're working on. So that's pretty cool. So thank you. Mojo just said thank you, KB. And thank you, Mojo, for being here. Everybody who's passed through this room, thank you so much. I don't know who's still, a lot of people dipped out because they said I was going. So much love to all of you, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.